What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Sports Talk on Tap podcast. We're here. You can find daily videos Monday through Friday covering all the four major sports leagues, whether that be NHL, MLB, NBA, or NFL, and whether it be games, news, highlights, free agency signings, all that. And in today's episode of our NHL segment, similar to the NBA, Nick, it's a free agency frenzy right now, and a lot of moves were just made in day one yesterday for the NHL. And boy, there was a lot of good ones, a lot of interesting ones. First move that kind of happened was Steven Stamkos going to Nashville. 4 years, $8 million AAV. I think Nashville, was it a bit of an overpay? Yeah, because I think Steven Stamkos is still a power play guy, and I think he benefited huge with playing Kucherov and point. But I think Stamkos can still get you 30-plus goals. It just be an efficient scorer for Nashville, and I think they get that leadership. And I think Nashville, they were a really solid playoff team last year. I think they went on a super long point streak. So I think they're looking to build off of that. And the first three signings, I guess we'll just all talk about them. Jonathan Marchessault from the Vegas Golden Knights. I think that was a great value deal. And then Brady, I think, is a great second pair defenseman. Don't know if I would have paid $7 million AAV, but they were aggressive. They had money to spend, and they went out and got better. I think two of these, Brady and Steven, a little bit of an overpay, probably, but I think Marchessault was great value. I think overall Nashville just got better, which they need to do, and I think now they're looking to take that next step as a team.
I think if I'm looking at, winners of day one of free agency, the two teams that come to mind are Nashville, obviously, just because they got some big names, and this doesn't even include the Jussi Saros extension that they've got. So they want to win soon. That's really what I'm gathering from this, especially giving Stamkos a deal like that. I think they want his leadership as well as his talent and scoring now. And the other winner that might surprise some people, but I think they definitely improved big time, is the Blackhawks. They built around Connor Bedard, I think, perfectly. They added a bunch of, forwards and Teravainen and Bertuzzi to sort of help Bedard out and not be the only scorer on that team. They still have Taylor Hall, I believe, Nick Foligno, but the biggest concern for Chicago, I think, is still goaltending. And they might have added a goaltender but I can't remember off the top of my head.
I know they added Pat Maroon.
They also added Pat Maroon. So they're kind of adding leadership, but at the same time, scoring. I mean, Pat Maroon's not really going to give you scoring, but he's going to give you, that experience and maybe leadership on just showing Bedard how to be a professional and stuff like that. So I did like a lot of the moves Chicago made along with Nashville. So those are probably my two winners.
Yeah, and then we saw some other moves. Boston signs Elias Lindholm. I would say it's definitely an interesting move. I think Bruins fans like it. He's a good player, coming off kind of a down year, though, just with the team. But I think it's a good move. They get, they replace someone with Jake DeBrusk, who left in free agency to Vancouver. 7 years. These were a lot of lengthy contracts that were given out. And then
I think this is no disrespect. I think Jake DeBrusk was the biggest overpay in free agency. I think he's had a few good years with the Bruins, and I'm gonna miss him because he was, fun to watch.
You just called him
a lot. I wouldn't have paid him that. If that's what you're asking for, then have fun somewhere else. Because 7 years for 38, and he was he probably would have been, at best a second liner. I know they put him on the top line just because, scheme wise, but he's not a first liner. He scored 20 goals a few times, but DeBrusk goes on. The best way to describe DeBrusk is like the Twins. He'll go 2 weeks where he scores 6 or 7 goals. He looks like the best forward in hockey, and then for 2 months he doesn't score a goal. And it's what DeBrusk are you going to get? And it's just too inconsistent for me to want to pay him that. The Lindholm deal, I don't mind. I know it's a lot of money, especially for hockey, but he's 29 years old. He's a true top line center, which is what you needed. He's a great face-off guy, a great defensive guy.
Yeah.
He's not Patrice Bergeron defensively, but you get someone to kind of fill that role that you couldn't really fill last year with Charlie Coyle. But I
Oh yeah,
would I know we talked about me wanting Sam Reinhart, but I probably would have said Lindholm was number 2 on my list. So I'm fine with it.
okay. And then we get an extension, Jakob Slavin with Carolina. Carolina did lose a lot of players, but they keep one of their key guys. So I mean, that's always a W. And then, like you said, Chicago made a couple big deals, and I really like the Tyler Bertuzzi deal. Very, kind of a down year in Toronto, but just a very aggressive guy. Physical, knows how to score though. So I like that. And you want to surround Brodar with some talent, and they did that in free agency so far.
One that I completely forgot to add to this, graphic is Jake Gensel going to Tampa Bay for I believe 7
We
years.
talked about it yesterday a little bit.
That's right. The news broke yesterday.
That is huge. The Lightning also earlier just re-signed Victor Hedman to a 4-year deal. So the Lightning are also being very active. Letting Stamkos walk instead of paying Gensel, I think is a dub for them because just Gensel, Kucherov, Point, just power play, maybe just all those guys paired up could be something special. And then we also saw some other moves. The Maple Leafs signed Oliver Ekman-Larsson to a 4-year deal. I think that was an important one. I like him.
I believe they extended Max Domi, didn't they?
Yeah, they get a champ in that room, which is huge. And the Predators also, Predators might be the biggest winners just because of the names they signed, even though I think they were a bit of an overpay. But you also lock up UC Saros, and then just overall, just huge moves from them. And I think one of the last moves I want to talk about is just the Sharks getting some talent at least in signing Tyler Toffoli from the Jets, who, I think is a solid player. And I think, just the Sharks need all the talent in the world, so they get that right there.
Yeah, I mean, the Sharks got to add something along with Celebrini because right now it's Celebrini in a room by himself pretty much. So it's good to see them add something, but I think that's going to be a long rebuild for them.
Yeah, it is. But, hey, they got 2 top 11 picks, just locking that up. They did, they lost Anthony Duclair mid-season last year.
Anytime you have like a super talented number 1 overall pick, it's going to draw, players. Like we're seeing it right now with Chicago. They were a bad team last year, but just, the attraction of playing with potentially one of the best players in the league and Connor Bedard and helping him grow, I think that's attractive to players, like especially guys who are maybe, mid-30s, back half of their career. Because you're not going to see, a guy like Jake DeBrusk who's, he's kind of, trying to find his prime and win in his prime. He's not going to go to a team like Chicago where they're just going to, be rebuilding. So, but I'm as much as, Bruins fans hate Chicago, I'm rooting for them just because I like Bedard.
Bedard's great. And I'm a little salty still about the Calder, but he's going to be great. And like you said, even if you're bad and you have one really good player, that can attract a lot of talent. They bring in a lot of vets like Bertuzzi, Maroon. I really think Maroon sucks, but he's at least, I guess, a body. You're just bringing in bodies, which is all that matters. And, just trying to get better. Huge W's for Chicago as well. I really love the Bertuzzi one the most. But with that being said, that was just day 1 of free agency. And, it's going to be getting even more packed like this morning. Like we just briefly mentioned, Victor Hedman, one of the key defensemen to Tampa Bay, has re-signed. So, they had a big piece there. With that being said, Nick, there was also just one thing real quick before we wrap this up. Joel Quenneville and the GM of – I'm slipping on his name – are being reinstated in the NHL starting July 10th. And I don't know if I wanted to get your opinion on this real quick. I think it's very disgusting that they're letting this happen. Joel Quenneville.
Who's that?
Well, he was the Chicago Blackhawks head coach.
Oh, the whole thing with – oh, yeah. No, they should not be.
Bowman.
They're being allowed back into the NHL is what you're saying?
July 10th, they are being reinstated. They kind of tried to slip it under the rug during free agency, but just want to give that a mention. Should never have been allowed to happen. Joe Quenneville, he's going to get another job, which is unfortunate, but, hopefully it's not my team. Hopefully, Nick, it's not your team. Just absolutely.
I don't think any team with any, respect for their fans and their team and their city
Players.
will ever, for their players, will ever sign somebody who,
Yeah.
did some of the egregious things that he did. So
Trying to cover
that's
up.
awful just by the NHL to let someone like that back in.
Disappointing day for the NHL. Great
Yeah.
day for the teams, though, just, with all their signings. But, yeah, didn't want to let that get swept under the rug in case, he does, get an assistant job or something, because I'm going to be watching that. Shame on Joe Quenneville. Hopefully, he doesn't get hired. And same with the GM, Jeff Bauman, I think is his name, or some shit like that.
If there is a team that signs him, that team's going to lose my respect, along with a lot of fans, including probably some of their own. Some of their own fans they're going to lose.
Their players are probably going to question it. So hopefully,
players are going to hate it. It's just not going to be.
Yeah, hopefully that isn't a real thing, and they don't do it. But just wanting, because they, of course, the NHL Classic trying to sweep it under the rug with free agency, but we weren't going to miss it. But with that being said, though, free agency is still a very exciting time. Today will be just start day 2, and we'll be here to cover all the signings, and deals. With that being said, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content. We'll catch you next one. Peace.